I've got about 15 minutes here on. Can you hand out everybody that doesn't have these? We got about 15 minutes of a little PowerPoint, and we got about a 30-minute video that I want to show you guys. And what we're going to talk about today is the start of the seller process. The start of that seller process starts with a pre-listing question, right? So, and we all kind of do this, sort of. What I'm trying to add to you and trying to give you is an absolute process that doesn't change. So you have a repeatable process, just like I said last week. So your hamburger at McDonald's tastes the same in Virginia as it does in California. Well, maybe not because it's California. But that pre-listing interview is where all this starts. So how do you get a pre-listing interview, right? So a couple of different ways this happens, and the majority of the ways that happens, you get a referral from somebody, right? Even if it's not a referral, even if it's one of your past clients, you can probably skip some of the questions, but you need to still go through this process. So it's not a bad idea. You're on the phone. You first call that person. Karen sent me somebody. She wants me to go and list their house. So I'm going to call. What's the first thing that I'm going to start discussing with them is what? Next slide. Is rapport building in Ford. How many times have we heard this, right? How did you get my name, etc.? Explain the process. Or, hey, Karen said that you wanted me to give you a call. I'm more than glad to follow up with you. And then just find out a little bit about them, right? Ask them those rapport building questions. Ask them about their family, their occupations. So what do you do for a living? Recreation, dreams, have that rapport building, because that's going to be the first step in no matter what we're doing. Whether we're talking to a buyer or a seller, it's always our first step is to make a connection, because without a connection, you're just a transactional person, and transactional people don't last. Okay, so you want to make that relationship and get that relationship built. Once you have done that, we're going to start and explain to them what exactly is going on. And just very simply, if it's all right with you, I'd like to ask you a few questions and then set up a time for us to get together. And what you've told them is, I'm going to take a bit of your time right now, and then I'm going to follow up, and we're going to have an appointment later to really get into everything else. That kind of sets the stage, right? Because we control what? The process, and they control the decisions, right? So we control the process, they control the decisions. And this is part of controlling that process. These questions are to help me prepare for our meeting and should take about 10 minutes. Is that okay with you? We're asking permission. We want to make sure, because if we call them, we want to make sure we didn't catch them at lunch, at dinner, whatever's going on. We want to make sure they have the time. And if they say, well, I don't really have that time right now, because the worst thing that can happen is you get into start asking your question like, I really don't have time for this right now, right? So set that expectation up front. Let them know about how long this is going to take. And it will take about 10 minutes. And then you get right into it. Name, property address, mailing address, email address. Get their contact information. All of this is going to be really important because, you need all this information in order to do a proper job. So it's just really simple. So, hey, what's your legal name, right? Because why do you need a legal name? To fill out the paperwork, right? Property address, what property are we talking about? Where's the property located at? And then what's your mailing address? Why is mailing address important when we're talking about property address and mailing address, right? Maybe it's a rental property they're dealing with. Maybe they want their information to go somewhere else. Maybe they're out of town. Whatever the case may be, because as we get further down in this, we're going to talk about a pre-listing package. And we do not email pre-listing packages, right? They're out of town, maybe, but for the most part, we want to drop those off at their house. We'll have somebody take a pre-listing package to them. We're going to talk more about that in the weeks to come as we talk about this whole process and how to build this and be extremely professional. Next. And all of this is on the paperwork in front of you guys, okay? Owners and decision makers, phone, cell, home, email. You want to know who you're talking to. Are you talking to the person that owns the home? How many times have you gotten this call? Well, I'm asking about this house on such and such street. Great, you start talking to them about it. You get to the end, and what do they go? Well, I'm just looking at it for a friend, or my daughter, or somebody else, or even the decision makers, right? Make sure you're talking to the decision makers. Ask them, so who's the decision makers on the home, right? Next question. Why are you selling? What a great question, right? Because remember, people buy and sell on their whys, not their wants, okay? So you need to know their why. Why are we doing this? What's the time frame? Because that's also going to help you determine time frames, what's going on in their life. Are they empty nesters? Are they moving up? Are they downsizing, upsizing? Are they leaving the area? You need to know why. And it's one of the most important questions you're going to ask in this whole process. So can I help you? Next question. Why are you selling? Very important. Okay. When do you want to move? Or more importantly, when do you need to move? Okay. This starts giving you time frame. Time frame also helps us understand what? Pricing, right? Time frame is going to affect pricing. If somebody wants to move that house quickly, it's going to be a lower price, right? And remember, we control the process, they control the decisions. And there's in the video, you're going to see in this video, it's a very interesting conversation he has. The guy starts talking about when he's leaving, and the guy says, well, as we get on down there, the acceleration of this is going to be in your hands. And what he means by that, without saying it, is that how fast we sell this house is going to be based on how aggressive you are in pricing. So when do you need or want to move? Then, love this one. Could you please describe your home for me? Right? Because as ninjas, and the whole philosophy here is to do what? Ask questions and listen for answers, pain and pleasure points, right? And provide solutions. So that's all we're doing. We're information gathering, right? Beds, bath, square footage, lot size. Listen to all of these things, right? Write them all down. You have that sheet in front of you. How long have you lived there? What does that tell you? Tells you a lot, right? Tells you, well, we bought last year. Woo, I hope you put a lot of money down, okay? But it gives you that information. Well, we've been here for 30 years. Okay, great. There's some other questions that'll help qualify that in a minute, but it gives you kind of an idea. Again, we're asking questions and gathering information for ourselves so we can do a thing here. What sold you on your home when you bought it? The reason they bought it is probably going to be the same reason somebody else wants it. And you want to know what it is about that. Remember, you haven't seen their house. This is just an on the phone pre-listing interview, right? So you kind of want to know what that is and what features did you like. So just write that information down so that you're very prepared when you do go to their house. Have you done any updates since you bought the home, right? Have you added a bathroom? Have you updated this or have you updated that? What have you done to the home? We haven't done a thing. Oh boy, we've been there 30 years. Okay, well, you guys ready to do a remodel? All right? All right, next question. If you were to stay in your home another 5 years, is there anything you would do to it, right? This starts playing into, well, you know, we've been thinking about replacing the carpet. Now that gives you a way to look at them at some point down the line and go, you know, if you're living here and you're thinking about replacing the carpet, how do you think a buyer's going to feel when they walk in, right? What do you think a buyer's going to think of that carpet? So really, really great question to ask. And it's also going to tell you where some of the problems may lie with this home, because we all know every home has problems, right? And the people living there know what they are, and maybe you don't. All right, next. For a moment, and I tell them this exactly, for a moment, pretend to be a buyer and look at the home through buyer's eyes. Let's assume for just a second and pretend you're buying your house. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of the home? 10 being a model home and 1 being poor condition. How would you rate your house? Remember, you haven't seen it. You haven't rated it yet. So you're not really giving them an opinion on this. You're just getting that information, right? And they're going to tell you, yeah, I think we're a 7. I think we're 15. Well, it better be damn nice if it's a 15, right? So you ask that question. How much do you think you'll be asking for the home? Man, right? Well, they're going to look at you. Some of them will, I don't know, you're supposed to tell us that. Well, hey, no, look, I understand that completely, but I'm going to need to definitely do some more research. Just wanted to know if you had an idea where you wanted to be. A lot of people already have an idea because they have Zillow and they have everything else, right? And if they give you a number that's acceptable, great. If they give you a number that's too high, you know you got some work to do, right? Don't screw them over. Do you own the property free and clear? Isn't that much better than saying, what do you owe on the property? What's that?
We don't have these questions. There's a second page.
Is there a second page?
There sure is.
Hang up. Here you go.
I forgot to separate them out. And is everybody online got these? Oh, if you're online and you do not have these, this is in the library in Brokerman. I'm so sorry. I'm getting better at this, guys. I will get this out to you, I promise. It's a questionnaire, but it's in the Brokerman library. And Abby will send this out to everybody too. Do you own the property free and clear? Thank you, Karen. And if they don't own the property free and clear, but it's just a good way of asking that question, right? Have you had a recent appraisal? Why would someone have a recent appraisal? They refied it, right? Have you recently refinanced the property? This is, again, telling you that they may owe more money on it. I've had the property for 30 years. Yeah, a little bit. Have you refinanced? Yeah, refinanced last year. Did you do a cash out refi? Yes, I did. Okay, right? And then the last question, do you happen to know an approximate balance of what you owe in the house? You don't need to make them look up the paperwork or anything, but do you have an approximate, value of what you owe in the house? Hey, maybe you might want to get that before we have our meeting, before we get together. Again, you're just gathering information. And then ask him, this is really important here, he just throws it right in the middle of all this stuff, right? Because we're going to go back to the house here in a minute. We're going to throw this right in the middle. What are 3 things you're looking for in a realtor? Or agent. Yeah, absolutely. Realtor or agent, absolutely. Say it either way. But the point here is that they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what is important to them in this process that you do for them. And they're going to say, well, we want an experienced agent. We want somebody who communicates. We want somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So listen to these things, because these are the things that are super important to them as far as you are concerned, right? So make sure, because if we're just doing what we think they want, may not be what they want. Ask them. They'll tell you, and this is where we get that information. Have you considered going FSBO? Boy, doesn't that, how many people would ask somebody that question? Why not? You need to know if they're considering it. If they say no, what do you think your answer should be? Okay, next question. If they say yes, what do you think your next question should be? Okay, next question. You don't need to get into it. No reason to have a long discussion about it, but you need to know if that's an option on the table, right? If they've been considering that, and just because you said it doesn't mean they'll start considering it, right? But I want to know, right? Have you sold a property before? Prior knowledge, right? If you've sold a property before, then I know what their experience level is. And is there anything else I should know about your home? And what do you think this is the part where they're going to tell you the bad stuff, right? Anything else I should know about your home? Well, I think the roof might leak a little bit. We got a little bit of a slow drain. Hopefully they're very forthcoming at this point and telling you this stuff, okay? Hey guys, this is an opportunity, if there's something out there that we need to address, is there anything else I need to know, right? Next question. All right, do you have any questions for me? This is a point, now you've asked all these questions, and now you give them a good open-ended question. You have any questions for me? This is going to take a few minutes, right? Because they're going to have questions for you. What do you think one of their first questions is going to be? Yeah. Hey, listen, let me come down and sit down and talk to you, and let me show you everything I do. When we sit down and meet together, we'll absolutely discuss that to ad nauseum. Okay? What else do you think they're going to ask? Well, what do you think the house is worth? I don't know. I'm in the information gathering phase. I really want to make sure that I give you a good, accurate answer, so I need to do some research on the property and come out and see the property and look at the property and take a look at it. So just answer their questions. Okay, explain the next step. Is this going to be a 1 call or a 2 call? Everybody know the difference in a 1 call and 2 call? 1 call, I go to the property 1 time and I give them the answers. 2 call, I go to the property, gather all my information, I disappear, I come back for a second appointment and tell them what the property's, and then present. I don't like 2 call, right? I don't need it. I can pretty much come up with the value of a property, a range, right? Right? You think a house is going to list for a fixed price or a range of prices? Remember that? Right? I can come up with a range of value, right, sitting in my office. And I have that range, and then because I have that range, I can adjust based on condition of the house. I don't go out there with a set price. If I'm going to do a 2 call, then I'll go out there and I'll come back with a price recommendation, right? We control the process, they control the decisions, right? Where on this range do you think you want to list your house? You want to list it up here. Okay, great. You said you need to be out of here in 2 weeks. Do you think this price will get you moved in 2 weeks? Right? Okay, you want to be out of here in 2 weeks. Okay, we need maybe be down here in this range. All right, and the pre-listing package, right? Say, look, I'm going to be sending you, as soon as we get off the phone here, I'm going to be sending you a pre-listing package. It's going to give you some information about the neighborhood. It's going to show you what our contracts look like, yada, yada, yada. And what happens, how do you get that to them, guys? You literally put it on their front doorstep. You literally take it and drop it off at their house. You don't do it. You have somebody do it for you. Right? Knock on the door. Hey, I'm here. I represent Karen Darden. She wanted to make sure you guys had this pre-listing package information. I know you guys have an appointment next week. I want to drop this off for you so that you have that prior to that appointment. Right? If your appointment's going to be the next day, make sure you get it out there that day. Right? So if it's going to be next week, put it in the mail. Right? You just have to make sure they physically get that in their hands, because showing is what? Showing is better than telling. Set the appointment day, time, and place before you get off the phone. When you guys are meeting, what day you're meeting, what time you're meeting, and where you're meeting. Where do you want this meeting to be? At their house. However, what if it's a rental property that has people in it? It would still be nice to meet at the house, but sometimes you can't. Yes, go ahead. All right. Really important. Referral follow-up if someone sent them to you. You get off the phone with them, call the referral person. Let them know, hey, look, I made contact with them. I'm meeting with them next week. Just kind of keep those people up to date as to what's going on. What do we do the second that person called us with the referral? Karen calls me and says, Kenny, I got a referral for a listing. And I go, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that so much. I hang up. What do I do? Write a note and give them a gift card, right? Because I don't want to reward the fact that I closed a house and got money. I want to reward the fact that she thought about me and gave me a referral, right? Pavlov's law. Ring a bell, give a dog a treat, ring a bell, give a dog a treat, ring a bell, dog salivates, right? That's what we want. All right, next. All right, this is just your pre-listing interview on your phone. That's all we talked about so far today. There's going to be further lessons on this topic within the next couple of weeks coming up. They're going to include the post-listing email. You get off the phone, there's an email I'm going to send out to everybody that you can type up that gets sent out. It's got links to who you are, what you are. It explains what's going on, explains the next steps. What a nice thing to follow up with somebody, right? You get off the phone with them, send them an email and a thank you card in the mail. Pre-listing package details, 16-step in details. Pre-listing package, I'm going to give you a list of what all goes into a pre-listing package. You guys will have that. You can put one together. We're also having a pre-listing package and a listing package and all that stuff put together, so you'll have nice stuff to go by and good artwork to have. 16-step detail in questions. We're going to watch a video. We're going to actually watch someone interview someone and go through that 16-step process. Be most of the steps anyways, and a lot of it involves the conversation you're having with them at their kitchen table, right? Because that's where we do these pre-listings. We do them at the kitchen table. And then in further course, we're going to talk about strategies. We're going to talk about pricing strategies and all those different things. Now, this may not be next week. I think next week and is going to be Craig Jones talking about CMAs and talking about, is next week our fourth Wednesday where we have to have a...
It's the fourth Wednesday, so North Carolina. We're going to talk about listings.
Okay, so next week is going to be North Carolina and listings. It's not going to be me up here boring you to death. The following week, I think we're going to have Craig Jones come up and talk about CMAs, and we're going to talk about Focus First, scattergrams. So that really, because that's really going to be a piece you need to do this 16-step process. Okay, so 3 weeks from now, we're going to go into some of this stuff in way more detail. All right, next. Okay, this kind of sets the stage for this listing consultation, which is kind of part of that. So we're going to watch this video here on listing consultations. Pay attention; it's great. You're really going to enjoy this, and we'll talk to you when we're done. The big takeaway here on this is, it's a process, right? And you guys have heard me say, you guys hear me say a couple of things all the time. I always say showing is better than telling, and it matters who says it. And that's what he demonstrated right there. He didn't say the price, the seller said the price. And the seller said the price based on data laid out in front of him, and empirical evidence that that's really what his house is worth. And that, comes from a good CMA, a good scattergram. Going in and telling someone, hey, I've done the research, your house is worth $475. That's you telling them and them still going, well, is it really? Are you sure? But when you show them, this is what everything's sold for, this is why it's sold, this is the time frame it's sold, and you can show them that that is market value by showing them actual data and data points, makes all the difference in the world. These types of listing appointments almost ensure you that you're going to get the listing because nobody else does that. Everybody else goes in with 2 or 3 other comps and goes, hey, this is what I'm going to do. He didn't do that. He didn't go in. It wasn't all about pricing the house. It was about finding out about the person. It was building rapport. It was explaining the things to them. It was really finding out what his comfort zone were. It was finding out what is important to the seller. When people realize that it matters to you, what's important to them, it makes all the difference in the world. Does that make sense? I have kept you guys here. I'll take 1 or 2 questions if you guys have them. And if not, I'll be putting out so the sheet I gave you today was a pre-listing interview. Here in the next day or so, I'm going to give you a printout of every question that he asked during the listing consultation. It's 2 different questionnaires that they have, okay? So we'll be getting that out to you. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, don't forget, stick around today for love letters with Carrie. She's going to be doing notes and love letters. Is that what it is?
Lunch and love letters.
No, huh?
Lunch and love letters.
Lunch and love letters. So hang around for that. Should be a good time. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. Now, get out there and sell a house.
It felt like I needed to laugh.
I think, oh,
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
that is okay.